Welcome everybody to the PWA Studio Community Sync. We have several demos lined up today for y'all. First, we have Emmerich and Paul from NewQuest who are going to talk about their new launch. Then I will demo some work that I've been doing or did last week to tidy up the builds a little bit. And then finally, we'll wrap it up with James Kalkman talking about Targetables Tutorial that he's been working on. So I will hand it over to Emmerich and Paul. Can you guys share your screen? I don't know if I have to do anything to give you all the ability. There you are.
Hi.
Thanks for joining, guys.
No problem, pleasure. We're just gonna chat a bit about the site. So it's been called evianchez-vous.com. It's a French website based in Paris. So it's with the Danone Group. Basically, it's been online in production for 2 weeks roughly. It was an old Magento 1 website, so it goes, I think it goes about 6 or 7 years back, that we migrated to Magento 2 and PWA Studio at the same time. So a fairly big job. It took us about a year to get out. I'm back-end dev and Emmerich is front-end, and we had a couple of helping hands along the way. So fairly big project. So basically, it's a website that allows Parisians to have water delivered to their door. It's a fairly simple catalog. It's got a couple hundred products, all water. Water and associated products. Nothing fresh at the moment, but several different brands on it. There's quite a big marketing team, as you can imagine. It's Evian, Danone, all these big brands. There's a big marketing team behind it who do a ton of work on it and make it look pretty damn good and continuously improving it. It's a pretty good, solid website. It's a fairly simple website until you get to the checkout. And once you get into the checkout, you start to realize that you can have a subscription, or you can just buy one-off orders. And so subscriptions you can do sort of every week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 4 weeks. That's going to evolve quite a bit in the next few months. But you can. It's fairly flexible. And once you've started creating your order, you get into delivery details. There's a fairly hefty sign-up form because they pride themselves on really good delivery service. So it can be next day delivery, or over a few days, a few ongoing days. The delivery system allows you to basically choose any sort of time slot over the next time period, as you'll see in a second. So once you've chosen your address, with all the extra fields, there's a ton of custom attributes to allow this precise delivery. Then you get these like time slots that allow you to choose exactly when you're going to be delivered. So that's one time slot. There are several others like 2 till 4, 4 till 6, etc. And this basically is a massive system on the back end that basically each postcode in Paris allows you a different delivery time. So it's and max weights, and there's all sorts of configuration that's done in the back end to allow you to see all this stuff. Then all that is sent off to the delivery companies, who then actually do the physical deliveries. So basically, the project was our first full-on Magento 2 PWA Studio project. We chose PWA Studio because Danone, they're fairly into their up-and-coming technologies. So they knew about PWA, they'd heard about it, and they wanted something that could handle it. And they were Magento before, so they stayed on Magento. And we discussed several possibilities like PWA Studio, and there were a few other solutions available at the time. So obviously the fact that you guys working on PWA Studio from work with Magento was it helped convince everybody basically to use it. So we set off on that. We didn't really know what we were jumping into to begin with. We'd done minimal tests on it right at the beginning, but it looked fairly solid, so we were fairly confident. So yeah, we managed to get it all installed, all set up, and yeah, we started working on it. So after the first phase of quite a steep learning curve, just basically using GraphQL, setting up the front end, getting it linked into the back end and all that, we were on a roll and moving along quite quickly. So yeah, we're fairly satisfied. We managed to get quite a lot done, and then we started to find missing parts to Magento, so we had to finish all that off as well. So that was a bit of a surprise in some areas. But we did the devs to get that going, and what else could I say? Yeah, it's been pretty, frankly, great to work using GraphQL, and the whole separation aspect between the back and the front, the fact that it's totally separate and you don't need to sort of mix in front and back end developers is pretty cool. Although you can expect to sort of work apart a lot more since it's totally separate, but we ended up working really quite closely together because one really relies on the other. Even though we're not doing any dev together, you really rely on each other. So probably means you actually work closer together than before. So that was quite a cool discovery, and we're both pretty satisfied about the way it worked out. So yeah, generally, I'm fairly pleased to have worked on the back end of the Magento 2, and yeah, so we still got quite a lot of optimization and things to do on the website. GraphQL would quite like to reduce the amount of data that's sent back on quite a lot of the calls, to just speed it up a bit. There's a lot of things we don't necessarily need all the time, and we could gain quite a lot of time on that sort of stuff. So anyway, that's my point of view. I'll pass over to Emric to go on about the front end stuff.
Yeah. So I'm not English, so sorry if I use some French words, something like that. So yeah, I work a lot with Magento 1, Magento 2, even PrestaShop, but PWA Studio, even PWA was my first project. So I need to learn a lot more about JavaScript, React, Node, Webpack, etc., etc. It was really hard at the beginning, but quite challenging also. It's sorry. The PWA Studio is really cool because it's way easier to understand what you are doing compared to a classic Magento. It's always, I think, faster to implement new functionalities. But as I said, it took me many times to understand how PWA Studio works, because it's not it's a complex application. Yeah, that's it. But it was cool, honestly. Yeah, I can show you few functionality we have on Evian Shivu. So first on the listing page, if you want to add a product, you will see the product on there, because that's what the client wanted. He wanted something like a supermarket. And even if I refreshing the page, I still have the data. We also customize we customize everything. can't really tell it's a PWA Studio because we change almost everything. The big part was also the cart on the right, because we have two modes, a light mode with only the product, mobile product, and when you click on the cart, you have a classic version with the product, info, coupon code, all the data for the subscription or punctual order, shipping, even time slot, step 3, extra. That pretty much. The product page for now is quite simple, but we work this in the next month. The home page is also quite simple. We have a slider, some push, brands, and a few products there. But as Paul said, the complex thing was for the checkout, because once you want to order, you have the choice between a punctual order or for subscription. Sorry, it's all in French. If you select for the subscription, you will need to select an address, and then you can select your frequency. Yeah, if you want to every week, 2, 3, or 4 weeks, the day, and finally the time slots. Pretty whole, I guess.
This looks really great, guys. This is refreshing.
Yeah. We are quite happy with this, but we have many work to do.
I mean, it looks great, and like you were saying, it's kind of it's you built it on PWA Studio, but you can't really tell. I'm curious personally, what maybe was the most difficult aspect, and your favorite aspect, like which pieces were difficult to work with, but also which pieces were your favorite to work with.
My favorite aspect was almost everything with PWA is with JavaScript. It's really easy to create something or to add something new. But the bad aspect is that we customize everything. So I mean, for if I have to do something similar again with this kind of big project, I'm pretty sure we do something from scratch, because we change everything. But if it's a classic Magento with a classic listing, PWA Studio is really cool.
Okay, yeah, that's good feedback. Really great feedback for us to hear. Well, I want to toss it over to people if there's any questions in chat. And look like it. Well, cool. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to share today? That?
No, especially, yeah, it was just been a good amount of work and a good experience to work on this. It took us a lot longer than we expected, but it has been a massive project, and we also had the migration to think about during the whole process. So yeah, it was a fun and interesting project, and can't wait to get on to the next one.
There was a question in chat from Yuri. He said, any insights into optimization? Love the page speed results.
Well, so far it's not especially optimized. It's yeah, we pushed back the deployment to production several times, just because it was just a massive project. So frankly, optimization has not been one of the priorities. We installed Varnish on it to reduce on the back end, to reduce all the GraphQL calls sizes and cache them. We'd like to, as I said earlier, we'd like to optimize all the GraphQL calls and get them just basically down to their bare minimum. And yeah,
that's one of the great things about GraphQL, right? You can request just the data you need. So hopefully that's not too difficult for y'all to do. But would love insight into how that goes for y'all in terms of customizing those GraphQL calls, if you're using the PWA Studio ones out of the box, anyways.
Yeah, at the moment it's mainly all the basic stuff that existed in PWA Studio is being used. And well, obviously all the custom stuff is brand new, and that is down to its bare minimum. But some things, especially the checkout, there's quite a lot of data sort of moving around. So yeah, we need to get that done.
Cool. Thank you very much for demoing that. That was really cool.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think we have about 10 minutes left, so I will try and I'll take over from here, rush through my demo so that we can get to CalcVins. All right. So I'm just going to demo some performance optimization that we've been doing. Speaking of performance, one of the last tickets in this epic that we've been working on was to clean up some of the bundles. The main two, the client and vendor bundles, were pretty big, and they still are pretty big. And we'll hopefully be able to continue optimizing those as we go. But just some low-hanging fruit was this these things that we include and are rendered even though they're not actually visible. So things like modals, drawers, and drop-downs. And to optimize this, well, let me see if I have the code pulled up. You'll see throughout the app in certain components, there'll be areas where we use React Lazy to import the component and then Suspense to render. And that will let Webpack chunk that component and lazy load as necessary so that it doesn't block the main rendering. And just to demo that performance, so this change set is pretty big. But most of the changes in here are literally just moving things from React or from direct imports to React Lazy and then wrapping them in Suspense and potentially a fallback. So immediate savings, if you're in Chrome and you open the DevTools and you open the coverage tool, you can run it on a page. So I'm just showing you the Venia Bottoms category page as an example. So you see the client and vendor bundles are 540 total byte, 540,000 bytes, 385. You can see all the chunks that are loaded here, and it shows you, the coverage tool is kind of cool. It shows you the unused bytes in that bundle. So this is develop. I don't think my PR has been merged yet, so that's why you won't see the impact yet. But I've got this running locally, a staged bundle to compare. And as you can see already, the client bundle is smaller by almost 130,000 bytes. And the unused bytes has dropped by about 50K. So, right off the bat, the client is going to be a much smaller bundle. There's more chunks, as you can see, compared to the develop page. That's because of all those new lazy load imports. But the biggest assets, the client and vendor should get better. Actually, we didn't touch vendor here. Doesn't look like. But that client bundle is smaller. So hopefully, as we go, we'll identify more places where we can clean this up. I mean, obviously, we still have a lot of unused bytes, and I even kind of call that out in the PR. There's a lot of stuff that we need to initialize when the app loads, like Apollo cache, and the coverage tool doesn't think we need it. So if you were to look at this, you can see how it kind of tells you. This red on the left indicates code that's not executed. But a lot of this is dependency code that we don't really have fine-grained control over. So the easiest thing for us to do to clean up these unused bytes is that lazy loading. And then hopefully we can identify future places to improve as we go. That's PR 2988, and already saving 130K from the initial client bundle. So I think that's pretty cool. Yeah. Are there any questions for me? I'll pass it over to James.
I don't see any questions, so I'll go ahead.
Okay, cool.
Okay, let me share my screen.
You're a little quiet, James, by the way.
How about now?
You're good.
That. All right. Do you see my screen? It's a Ability Framework page. Yep. Okay. So my updates mostly focus on the targetables documentation published. If you don't know, targetables are a new feature in the extensibility framework, and there's a new section on this page you can find in the overview extensibility framework. This section that talks about what exactly they are. Basically, they let you apply code transformations or apply transformations to the source code or code from dependencies. It also opens up a lot of new possibilities for extensions to interact with storefront projects. So that's all discussed here in this section. In addition to that, there are 2 tutorials that are available: the extension development and modifying code targetables. This extension development tutorial is basically an overview of how to create an extension for PWA Studio storefront, and it's very explicit in what you need. You need the manifest file and what goes in there. Where and how to declare, intercept, and declare files. It also talks about how you can create an API for your extension that other extensions or the storefront project can use. That's all in here, and also talks about project dependencies and how that relates to the targetables and what order they're executed, and a section how to install and test your extension locally on a local instance of storefront. This other tutorial, modifying code targetables, is exactly what it says. Is just it teaches you how to use the targetables feature to do code modifications in your projects. There's a lot of example code here that you can look at. In addition to that, there's also new reference documentation for each of these targetable types, and it's just to see what's available to you. And it has at the bottom examples that you can take a look at, a lot of code examples for these, because it's a very large topic, and it's easier to understand what they do once you see the examples for that. Are there any questions? I want that pretty quick because I know we're running out of time.
Yeah, no, this is great. I personally will find value in this. I've been trying to dig into the targetable API a little bit more, but like you said, it's a little bit terse unless you get into it.
Yeah. So I try to provide as much examples as I can for each of these types so that people can get an idea of what they do.
Yeah.
All right.
I think we even had a question about this stuff in chat this morning. So yeah, Chris Brabender says, I want to see the VS Code plugin updated with the targetables type ahead or whatever it's called, auto prop or insert after dot replace, etc. Yeah, that would be nice. Who's VS Code plugin? Is there a VS Code plugin?
Yeah, Lars created one, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, Lars. Okay, yeah. Lars, feature request.
Yeah, let's see.
Well, now you have documentation you can use to build it, so.
I know this feature. I was creating it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, does anyone have any other questions for the team or any of the demos that we saw today? Otherwise, we can wrap up. Doesn't seem like it. So again, thanks everyone for tuning in this week. It was really great to see everybody, or Lars at least. As they say, smash the like or honk and subscribe or smash the like button. I don't know how to be Andrew, so I'm going to go. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
See ya.
Have a nice day. See you.